Hello, everyone. It is opening day. Baseball is back, and we're here with season 6, episode 4 of Halfway Around the Halo, the LA Angels UK podcast. I am Nick Wright, your host, and I'm delighted to be joined once again by Toby Barnes. Toby, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm really excited because as we're recording this, it is the opening day eve. So yeah, I'm looking very, very excited to get the season properly underway.
You've spoiled the suspense there because I probably wasn't going to put this up until tomorrow, just with time to edit. So we are recording the day before opening day, but when you're listening to this, it's opening day and beyond, and we are absolutely buzzing for it. Do you know what else we're buzzing for, though, Toby? Because I have actually been joined by another guest today, and he retired from the podcast 3 episodes ago, but comes around to episode 4 and he wants back in. So, Dave Evans, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, mate. It's an absolute honour and a privilege to sit here with Toby, and it's pretty decent to see you again, mate.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see you too. We'll actually be probably putting this up on YouTube, so everyone gets to see your lovely face. Uh, you're not decked out in the Halo gear today, though.
No, mate, I'm in half pajamas and a jumper at the moment. I'm ready for bed, so
Is
yeah,
that why we're head up only at the
a
moment?
little bit of a different vibe. Yeah, pretty
Yeah, I
much.
thought so. We got quite a bumper episode for you today because whilst the three of us are just going to talk Angels baseball and what we predict for the season ahead, as we know, like spring is done, off season is done. We're ready to go. We're ready tomorrow, rain permitting, for baseball to happen. So we're going to chat all through that. But also, we've got on a special guest later, the MP for Nottingham North, Alex Norris, who was a big Baltimore Orioles fan. You'll hear all about his story. We preview the pod, talk a bit of the Orioles and connection between them and the Angels. And we're going to chat through that later, me and Toby. But for now, let's kick this off and start talking about the season upcoming. Who wants to jump in first? Let me know how you're feeling ahead of this first series and just what we're going to see the year ahead.
Well, as is the guest, let's get Dave go first and see what I can bring back.
Well, obviously, at this stage of the season, guys, I've got to be unridiculously optimistic about our season ahead. Um, I've scaled it back a little bit this year. It's a transitional year. I think we all know that. And we're hoping for some improvements in our rotation. And yeah, I'm looking for improvements there more than anything. We haven't massively improved, like lineup wise, with the bats. So I think we've got to say we're looking for internal growth. I think the best term might be for some of those youngsters coming through, and see what happens, and just got to try and enjoy it. I'm not expecting too much, so you can't get too disappointed.
Internal growth. I can tell you're in the corporate world now because that sounds like something you've been
Ridiculous.
saying on a day-to-day basis in the office, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, you're not wrong. I think Toby and I, in the first 3 episodes of this season, have kind of just gone through everything that's wrong about the franchise right now, everything that we're feeling negative about, everything where we haven't seen any improvements, and actually the team's probably got a little bit worse. So I don't think we need to rehash that today or go over that today because I think it's all out there. I think people know our feelings on where the ownership is right now, where we think the direction the team is with the minors, the development, scouting, the stadium, minor league stadium, everything that goes with it. We know there is a lot of room for improvement there. But you like to be positive, Dave. And so we're going to try and do that positive spin today. And Toby, what are like the 3 things, I guess, going into this year that you are really optimistic about?
Three things that I'm optimistic. I would say that the potential of kind of the young guys that we've got coming through. So kind of I feel like it's been repeated by everyone kind of in and out of the Angels that O'Hoppe, Neto, Shanoel, excited to see how they do with hopefully full and healthy seasons. Obviously, we know that O'Hoppe got injured quite early on. Neto struggled with his back, and Shanoel only came up towards the end of the year, but he's obviously struggled with his back through spring. So hopefully that they can stay healthy and excited to see how they do. Um, I'm optimistic and excited. I think for a healthy Mike Trout. I think a healthy Mike Trout is obviously we know he's a perennial all star, but hopefully can get back to an MVP level. And then a third thing that I'm optimistic about is the growth of the starting rotation. I think that while right now we don't have a clear number one, that we can progress. And I think one of the younger guys, whether it's kind of Detmers or Canning or or Sandoval, who can hopefully have a bounce back year, can get up to being a frontline starter kind of guy that can be consistently relied upon.
There we go. I think there might be quite a few back problems with that trio over the next couple of years if they're carrying the team in the way I think they're going to have to. But I take your point in the rotation. Actually, a guy you didn't mention there, Chase Silseth, who I don't know if anybody saw the third game of the Freeway Series last night. Couple of mistake pitches from him to give up a couple of runs, but 10 Ks and he was mowing them down. The top of this Dodgers lineup is no joke. It is probably the best lineup in baseball. And Silseth was having his way with them. So room for optimism there?
Yeah, I think so. I saw a Pitching Ninja put together a nice compilation of his splitters that just looked kind of, they were just dying towards the end. So they look really good. Obviously seen that he struck out Ohtani twice, blew it past him the one time, and then threw him an off-speed pitch to get him through. So his mix looks there. So yeah, he could be potentially a bit of a sneaky one to have a good year.
And Dave, Toby's just mentioned the O word there, and we haven't touched on it yet. I tried to ignore it in the intro. But if you were a gambling man, what do you think would happen with Ohtani's season this year now he's left the Angels? And more importantly, what did you think of that whole story?
I feel like we can't mention if you're a betting man or not with the Ohtani story. I feel like
that was the plan. That was the point. Dave,
what can we say about that? Not very much at the moment, I would say. I'm probably not going to put my voice to too many opinions in regards to all of that, I have to admit. But in regards to Silseth's performance last night, yeah, I actually had a little note down. He's going to be our best pitcher by the end of this year. I'm going to put it out there. Yeah, I love that stuff which we saw last night against the Dodgers. I know it's spring training and it doesn't matter, but I think you see that at the back end of last year, the way he was going about it. I'm telling you, we've got a bunch of number 3s and number 4s. Someone's got to rise up, and out of the two, it's Detmers and Silseth, in my opinion. I'm liking where Silseth's starting at the moment, so let's see.
Dave's got his buzzwords in early there. It's only spring training. He loves that one. But also, a hot take out the gate, Chase Silseth, our best pitcher. And you know what? As we said, there's no real separation between them at the moment. Why not? Why not Chase?
What are you thinking, Toby?
Yeah, I think any of the young guys can step through. It just depends on which one, I guess, wants it the most and who can stay the most consistent. I feel like that's the big thing for all young guys, whether it's a pitcher or with a bat, is just the consistency, and that's kind of so hard to come by. If you get someone that does that, then you never know where they're going to be.
I don't know about you guys. Obviously, you've been around for a few episodes, and I've only just jumped back in. But the coaching staff that we've now got to work with these guys as well, that's got to make a massive difference compared to where we were last year. When you could argue Sandy and Detmers step backwards more than anything. Surely it can only get better, and with Ron at the helm with his team as well, that's going to help these young guys going forward.
Without a doubt, we have talked about this, and I think my position is, yes, you're spot on. I don't think Ron Washington is a bad hire. I think it's a very good hire. I think he should help these guys develop. I think that he was the right man to lead this unit right now, and probably the only good thing that we've done all off season. However, my point was, when people were really celebrating this hire, a manager, in my view, never has made much of a difference in baseball. I think it's the most overhyped, and I could be completely wrong on this, and I'm sure there's going to be people that don't agree with me at all. But you know my feelings on this, Dave. I just don't think a manager makes huge amounts of difference over the course of a season. And it's not just the manager we've brought in. It is a whole new coaching staff, isn't it? Even in the minors, even in the majors. And maybe that makes a difference across the board where we see some improvements with the development that's going on. But ultimately, whilst I love the Ron Washington hire, this franchise is not in a place where a manager which can maybe impact 2 to 3 games a year max makes a big difference to where the team goes. So, yes, I agree with you, but also just urging caution, I guess, that I don't always think that we should take this positive and just blow it up into something that it probably won't be.
But that's my middle name, though, isn't it? That's what I bring to the party. So, come on.
Toby, what are your thoughts on Washington now you've seen him all the way through spring?
I'm liking the energy that he brings, and seems to be completely infectious. That everyone in and around him says how great he is, and it looks like it's just spreading through the whole team. And I feel like a happy team is a winning team, and everything. Like some say, kind of, you can't have one without the other. So I think that they are going to potentially put in a few more wins than maybe we initially thought, just because that morale just looks so high right now.
Yeah, you speak of morale, even the little things last night with Moniak throwing the water over Neto after his triple in the ninth to win it. That kind of thing. That's what we want to see. We want to see fun. But Dave and I have gone down this path previous years where the team looks like they're having a great time, they're having fun, there's a good bond, and everything's going really well, and then suddenly it all just collapses. So once again, like, I don't want to be this negative downer, but I have seen this before. I've seen the fun in the dugout. I mean, I think Atani brought a lot of it with the guys, but ultimately it hasn't led anywhere. And I actually wrote a piece earlier today, season preview for Batflips and Nerds, which I think has just gone up. And I sort of talked about last year, and they wanted to dig into last year before we got into this year. And actually, I think because we're now, 6 months, 7 months removed from it, it's quite hard to remember just how bad things were last year in terms of injuries. And whilst I don't want to make excuses, and as I said earlier, there's so many other problems with this franchise right now, the injuries last year were absolutely insane. The players we lost for such large periods of time, how are we ever supposed to do well in August and September when you're missing 5, 6 of your best players over months at a time?
Yeah, I saw a nice piece on the Athletic just talking about a season preview, and they said that the Angels just hope, and it's kind of hope that everyone will be healthy and hope that they can have the progression this year. And I feel like that's kind of what you do every year. You cross your fingers and hope that everyone can stay healthy. Obviously, we know how much kind of the expensive guys on the team have just spent sat on the injured list. So it's kind of hoping that they stay healthy and kind of hoping that everyone else can return to a healthy season. Obviously, we, like you said, pretty much everyone top to bottom at least missed a few kind of at least double-digit games last year. So yeah, just need, like I say, just hope that they can stay healthy and get back to being productive.
Yeah, you talked about Mike Trout there as well earlier and staying healthy as one of your positives, and we all hope so. Dave, what do you expect from Trout this year? Because spring hasn't been great. He hasn't been healthy for 4 years. He's clearly getting older and declining a bit from the god that he was. What do you actually expect from Trout this year? What do you think is a good year from him, health dependent?
Well, trying to stay healthy would be a good year to start with. I mean, something that was supposed to take too long out last year turned out to be a season ender pretty much. So, yes, he is getting older. Yes, he has been injured every year. It was a freak one last year, though. It wasn't like a muscle injury or anything like that. It was an impact injury, and it happens. So, look, it's still Mike Trout until he's Mike Trout no more. And hope, like you've just been talking about, that's all we can do right now. I think he's still got it. It's his decision if he ever moves out of centre field. He probably maybe has that 1 year left in there if he's not being fit. If he goes injured, I think the DH spot being open will be a massive thing for him and a certain third baseman as well. And, hopefully that will help him stay on the field a lot longer. But hitting wise, he I can't even remember what his stats were by the end of the start of last year, but
Not great.
it's still Mike Trout. Yeah, he's still Mike Trout though. I'm still going to back him, and hopefully people around him can support him as well. But he won't be able to do it all himself. That's it.
Absolutely. I think that thing has been clear throughout his whole career. As superhuman as he can be, you can't do it yourself. Toby, I'll put the same question to you then. And with the caveat, he stays healthy all year. What is a good season for Mike Trout if he stays healthy all year in the current form of Mike Trout that I think we see?
I think just a return to kind of, if you can split the difference between the best seasons he's had and kind of the seasons he's had in between, if you can kind of average about 270, 280 and get kind of upwards of 30 home runs and 90 batted in, I think that's kind of what you consider a good season. And obviously everything above that, if it's healthy, he's like, oh, he's kind of back to where he was. But you expect him to get a little bit older. We touched upon it earlier in the season as well, or earlier in our podcast about Mike Trout actually from the DH spot when he has been there hasn't done that well. So yeah, maybe it's a psyche thing or something, but yeah, I think he needs to be on the field to be batting well as well. So hopefully that can continue.
And maybe steal a few bags if Spring's anything to go by. He stole one, didn't he? So you never know. Let's get him running again. Let's get him in his groove and bring in another tool back to the table. Speaking of DHs, though, another guy that got named to the team yesterday. Miggy Sano. What do you feel about that one? I mean, it's a great story, I think. Basically out of baseball the whole of last year, lost a lot of weight, looks in great shape, absolutely hit the cover off the ball in spring. Are you happy he's made the team from what you've seen?
Dave, do you want to say this one? Have you seen much of
Yeah,
training?
yeah, doing it for the over 30s. I love it. You know, as I say, no, came into camp in good shape, and he's deserved his spot. What great story, great contract, And what's the worst case scenario that's going forward now? He performs well up to the deadline, flip him for a young arm or something like that, and then he might get something out of it. So, good deal, and it's what you're hoping for, isn't it? You're giving out these minor league deals, spring training invites, stuff like that. See what hits. He starts the camp. Let's see how he starts off.
Yeah, I think there's potentially a few shrewd moves that the Angels have made, signing guys who have either not been in the league like Sano, or guys who've had off years and then potentially bounced back. Adam Simbers look really good as well. So if you can get some guys that are on cheap, almost kind of prove it deals, but kind of just coming back and getting into some kind of form, that's all you can ask for. And like you say, if they are going to be worth something come the deadline, then the hope is to get a couple of prospects. If the team goes how everyone's predicting it, and we're not going to win many games and be a seller at the deadline, you at least want some people to be playing well. And Sano's potentially one that on a really cheap deal as well, so he's not going to scare off a lot of teams with his contract, like someone like Rendon would be if he was playing well and they want to flip him, which is basically impossible. But someone like Sano could easily get a nice return.
And the other guy there, who's on this sort of prove it deal, really, he's getting paid a lot of money, just not by the Angels, is Aaron Hicks, a guy that's had another big spring and earned a job effectively. Looks like the Halos are going to carry 5 outfielders into the season with Adele and Moniak alongside the 3 starters, Hicks, Trout, and Ward. What have you made of Hicks, what he brings to the team, and whether you think that that's a role he's going to keep for the season, or whether you think this is like an early season thing and then Moniak or Adele will probably play the bulk of the time?
I think it's going to be a case of he'll start the season, and if he kind of does struggle a bit, or if one of the young guys starts playing well, I think they'll easily take his spot. It's not fully locked in for the year. I think as soon as a young guy starts playing well or he drops off, then they'll swap. But I think it will also be quite lineup dependent as to whether he plays or not. But he's done well. He's earned his place. For me, I think I would have rather seen Moniak or Adele have that as an everyday spot, because they need playing time. They need to kind of develop at the major league level even more so, especially Joe Adele. So yeah, a little bit unhappy that there's been a spot taken by them, essentially by Hicks. But yeah, if he plays well, then I guess no qualms.
And Dave, what do you think about Joe Adele's role leading on from that this year? I mean, he is basically the forgotten man. He's effectively on this roster because he's out of options and still too much of a prospect name, I think, to really give up on. But it's make or break for him. But yet, does he get the at-bats he needs? Because even that DH spot we've just spoken about, there's a few guys there vying for at-bats. You got Sano, but you've also got Moniak, who will probably be in there a lot of the time if he's not playing the field. What do you think the future holds for Joe?
I mean, it's a tough spot again. You don't look into too much of it, but he didn't walk much in spring. He struck out a lot, and it's the same swing and miss. Defensively, I suppose he's better, but there's always going to be that question mark just from a bias from history. Big year, big year, and you could find him an odd man out quite soon and used if anything. The name holds some weight still. It is still Joe Adele. I just want him to figure it out. I want him to be that guy. I want him to have the opportunity, and when he does take it, because he's athletic, he's decent, but he's just hasn't worked out for him, has it? Just hasn't worked out. He was rushed up all those years ago now. I mean, what we're talking about, 4 or 5 years ago, I brought him up, and he's trying to be learning it on the fly. So rough times. But no, it's gonna be a lot of pressure when he's going up to bat.
Yeah, firstly, when you say the word decent, I can't help but do the Joe Hart decent thing every time I hear that word. You know the clip? Decent! But anyway, that's going on in my head whilst you're talking, which is a distraction for everything else. But on Adele, I've got to be honest. I'm going to put my cards on the table here and say he will either be DFA'd or traded by the end of May. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it consistently. I don't think he's going to get the at-bats. I think the struggles are going to remain there. And ultimately, we cannot carry 5 outfielders. When the injuries start striking, when people go down, when you need an extra infielder, when you need replacement players, I don't think you can carry a passenger like that hasn't shown enough at the majors. So I really hope I'm wrong. As always, he's a former top prospect. He's got the power. We've seen what he can do in the minors. Haven't seen anything at major league level yet. And I just don't see how the Halos can carry him for too long. And that ultimately means, you can try and send him down, but he's going to get claimed. So I think you're looking for a trade partner for middle relief or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're kind of hoping that you get something like we got when we traded Brandon Marsh. Just get a straight swap with another prospect who's kind of stuck in another organization, kind of deep down, and hoping that you can get something similar to that. But I don't know if if the name carries enough because he's not really proven it. But I guess Marsh was a below average hitter, but had the defense, whereas Adele doesn't really have a defense. So it's kind of just hoping that you can get at least something back because, I think that he could easily find himself off the roster if he doesn't play his way into it.
Yeah, and Moniak also seems to be a bit of a forgotten man this spring after last year and a breakout year. I think the introduction of Hicks has kind of like pushed Moniak aside slightly in people's thinking, but actually we know what he can do. We know the power he has and the ability he has with the bat, particularly obviously when he's not facing lefties. I think Moniak still is huge if this team is going to be successful this year. And I think that I'd like to see him getting the lion's share of at-bats still when we're facing a righty. I think he should be in there most nights.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's any other argument against it. I think he proved it last year. Obviously, kind of pretty much everyone tailed off towards the end of the year and Moniak started off quite well. It's just hoping that he starts off well again and then continues that form through.
Do we want to talk about Anthony Rendon? Because I don't particularly. I just don't see the point. Like,
I think everything's ever been said about him, hasn't it? Really? What's new? What's new to be said?
Dave, you'd have loved that when all the stuff broke early in the spring. You'd have been in your element talking about that. I think the point with Rendon is, and we've seen it in spring, even if he's healthy, is he even good at baseball anymore? Like, genuinely, he has no power.
It's been that long since we've watched him for a consistent amount of time. Who knows?
His legs look so weak. He looks like he has no power there. I just don't even understand that even if he's healthy and at third base every day, I'm not buying it. I just don't see any performance. And this has got to be his last year.
How many years he got left? Is it two
Two,
more?
I think, isn't it?
I think it's 3 more, including this year. He's got 3 more. He's got 2 more after this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of years, but I just don't want to talk about him.
No, move on.
Fair enough. I'll move on to your favourite player then, since we're going through this list, Dave. Luis Rengifo. Beefy.
Beefy Rengifo. Love it.
What do you think this year? He's gone back to sort of a utility role again, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's probably his best sort of position really for us. He can give you some value there, playing a bit here, playing a bit there. Let's see if he can get the bat going earlier in the season when it's still important, not in the second half of the season when you're almost out of it. I think that's the nicest way of saying it all. Love his potential. Just want to see him do it earlier in the year when he gets those opportunities. He's
a big trade candidate though, isn't he? I think even if he does perform well at the deadline, he's the sort of guy that teams will be calling about. Still got control. We know he's got power. We know he's got some speed. He's the sort of guy I think probably if we're out of it at the deadline, which who knows, but it's probably more likely.
And obviously hits from both sides as well.
Yeah,
he's shown that he's got power from both sides, so he's really useful. And yeah, like you say, if the Angels can afford to lock him away until July and then just say go and play, then yeah, brilliant. Because he just seems to wake up as soon as the sun comes out and it gets warmer. Rengifo just starts to play well, but yeah, hopefully he can do it in colder weather.
And in front of him, and actually a guy I think that we just don't talk about enough as Angels fans, and I haven't really heard his name much during spring, even though he's been doing really well. We don't really talk about him as a productive run producer in this lineup, but Brandon Drury, I mean, despite all of the negative last year and the terrible season we ended up having, Brandon Drury was really good. Like one of the best free agent signings we've made in quite a long time. And he's started off this year again in similar vein of form. what do you expect from Brandon this year?
I mean, I don't want to jinx anything because I'm really good at that. But, you would always caveat every hitting thing with the Angels outside of Otani and Trout, or outside of just Trout back in the day. Brandon Drury will be our best hitter going forward for the entire season.
That's a fair shout.
I mean, I think it was Taylor Ward for us last year, and until he had his face broken in half, and it was quite nice to see him back, by the way. And
Dave, can you use his full title, please?
friend of the show, Taylor Ward.
Thank you very much.
I apologise.
Yeah, no problem. You're out of practice, I understand.
I know. Yeah, so and since it was great to see him back from his broken face. Yeah, he was our shout, certainly my shout for last year. But yeah, that one's going to go with Brandon Drury this year. I think he's got good power. I think he's he's underrated massively in this lineup.
Toby?
Yeah, everything I've seen is that Drury's going to be open up as the DH, and it will be Rengifo at second and Neto at shortstop. I think Drury would be fine, kind of DHing or kind of being everyday second baseman. I think the defense is there a lot more consistently than Rengifo. Obviously, we've seen Rengifo have a lot of the mental mistakes, which Drury just doesn't seem to have. He's just kind of he does have it, and hopefully he can put up another kind of 25 plus home runs again this year.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the metrics would probably support Rengifo over Drury, I think, in terms of range. But as you say, you never quite know what you're going to get with Geefy, do you? So, yeah, I don't know. Thing is, if you do that approach and you put Rengifo in and Drury in the DH, then you're losing both of those outfielders, as we've just spoken about. So that's the challenge I think we have. And against lefties, it makes a bit more sense. But on the bulk of games, I don't know. It's nice problems to have, ultimately. These are good problems to have for the Angels. And actually, I don't think, whilst people don't really seem to be talking about it, I don't think, fingers crossed, the hitting is the primary concern this year. I do think even without Otani, there is still, if everyone's healthy, still plenty of talent up and down that lineup. And actually, I think we're going to play a different brand of baseball this year, really. I don't think we have the home run power necessarily, but I do think we have guys that can drive people in. You look at someone like Nolan Shanuel, for example, that's what he's going to do. He's going to run produce. He's going to drive people in. Zach Neto can do it. I hope he's got some power, but he can do it. Drury got power, but can do it. Like, these guys can definitely score some runs and score some runs in bulk for us. So I guess I'm getting to that point where I'm a little bit optimistic about how we're gonna hit. Problem is, we're probably going to concede quite a lot of runs, and we're going to have to hit really, really well to win games. But what can you do? We can't have it all with the Angels.
Yeah, that's it. You hit the nail on the head. I think that the starting lineup isn't actually as bad as people may think. We've just basically gone through most of the lineup, and there's a lot there. It's the pitch, and it's the depth and the bullpen depth, and kind of we've spoken about it, kind of really beaten to death, the inflexibility that we have with the pitching as well, and it's kind of something that will probably creep up. And the bullpen, while we've added to it, it has been a few older names, so the injuries are probably going to strike with the older players. So it's just whether they can manage that effectively.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the bullpen huge amounts today, but Robert Stevenson, our big free agent signing, is already injured, and who knows where he's going to be, probably on IL to start the year then. A few of the other guys, Matt Moore, I'm glad he's back. We need Carlos Estevez to bounce back from the second half last year and be the closer he was in the first half. There's still a lot of uncertainty there, isn't there? Interesting that Jose Soriano seems to have made the team, despite the fact the Angels have been stretching him out as a starter, and he's looked pretty good in that role. It is interesting that they're then going to put him in the bullpen and not let him pitch at AA and stay as a starter. So surprised by that. Jose Suarez obviously is going to start in the pen as the swing man, and probably be the first up into the rotation if we need him. But I keep telling people the bullpen is going to be a strength this year. I'm not sure I truly believe it myself, but I'm just trying to toe the party line a little bit, and it's where we've spent all our money. So we got to assume that Perry's going to get a few of these right, don't we?
Certainly need a couple of them to hit. I have to admit, I wasn't exactly jumping for joy when I saw Luis Garcia back. I remember 2019 spitting feathers most days. So, yeah, volatility, we know all about it. So, fingers crossed here.
Yeah. Toby?
Yeah, nothing more to add. I think, just Dave said, it's just going to be quite volatile. And I wouldn't be surprised if Soriano takes over from Suarez in the kind of swingman role since they've been stretching out. But obviously Suarez is out of options now, so he's one that if they decide they don't really want him, then he'll have to be DFA'd or traded. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Soriano, from what he's shown, ends up stepping up into that kind of swingman role.
I think so, and that just gives us a bit of time to take a moment just to remember Jaime Barria and everything he gave to the Angels franchise. He's gone but not forgotten in my heart and Dave's heart. And Toby, you can join the Barria fan club if you
Yeah,
want.
the energy was just unmatched. When I remember when I was there, and he was kind of one of my the favorite guy that I saw on the mound was Brea. Aaron Loop just gave me palpitations in a bad way. Barea gave me palpitations in a good way.
Yeah, he certainly got the heart going, didn't he? He certainly got the blood flowing around the body. So good luck to Barria in everything he has to come next. All right, let's get to this stage then where I'm just going to fire off a few questions about the Angels this year and you're going to give me your answers. So start off with a nice simple one. Who is going to lead the Angels in home runs this year?
Brandon Drury, because I don't, as much as I'm hoping that Trout stays healthy, don't believe he can. So I think it'll be Drury that leads leads team home runs.
And how many?
31.
Big D?
I was going to go with Drury again, especially after what I said earlier about him. 31's are great, but I'll take the over slightly on 33. There you go.
Okay. I'm going to go Mike Trout. I'm going to say he stays healthy enough and he hits 38.
Yeah, he's got a history of hitting home runs. You might be right.
Yeah, he's not a bad player, is he? Right. Next one then. Who is going to lead the team in wins?
Reed Detmers is going to lead the team in wins. He's going to have 12.
Dave, I know your answer here, but
I'm going with, yeah, of course you do. I'm going with Chase also. Yeah, 11 though. You're going to go with 11.
And I'm going to go with a surprising answer here. And I'm going to go with Tyler Anderson with 13 wins. I just feel like he's going to be one of those pitchers that just doesn't deserve to get a win, but it's going to get a win. We're going to win lots of games like 8-6 and 7-5, and he's going to give up 5 earned, but get through enough to gain a win. I just got a feeling. So a bounce back year for old Andy.
Whatever you're smoking, can you pass that round?
What did you say?
Wherever you're smoking, you need to be passing that round.
Nah, we got to back our boys.
I agree with him.
We got to back our boys. Yeah. All right, who's going to steal the most bases for the Halos this year?
Zach Neto. And he's going to have 17 stolen bases.
Ooh. Dave?
We've not got much to work on, have we, over the last few years? It's on who's actually going to go running. Mike Trout, let's go. He's going to actually start running again.
How many?
25. I don't know.
25 stolen bags for Trouty. Wow.
Yeah, why not?
I was thinking of that in like the last 5 years combined.
If that.
Yeah, exactly. We had to stop. The old stop sign, didn't he?
Wow. Okay. I probably really like the Neto shout, but I will try and mix it up. And I will go, if he stays with the team, Luis Rengifo with 14. But
I would say Joe Adele, but he's not going to play enough.
Yeah, that's my worry. There's definitely a few guys they're going to get running, but I think Neto's a really good shout. It is probably going to be him.
Yeah, we don't have a speedster on the bench like Tyler Wade just to be a pinch runner.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad about that.
So no, I don't think he's going to be stealing many bases off the bench.
I don't think so. Okay, who is going to drive in the most runs for the Halos this year?
I think Mike Trout might get the most. I'll be honest, I think he's going to have 91.
Nice. Dave?
I'm going Trouty as well, but I'm going to go into the hundreds, so 110.
Oh,
those boys are going to get in front of him, and he is going to bring them home.
Sounds like a good year for the Halos if Trouty's driving in 110.
No one else is driving in anything, just Trout.
Well, we've seen Trout's numbers like that before, and they've never been a good year. So I don't know what's going to change.
Yes, fair point.
Personally, he will have a good season. It's just the rest of it.
I am going to go Nolan Shanuel, and he's going to get 96 runs batted in. And that's all he's going to do with 8 home runs.
That'll be an impressive year.
He's going to have a good year. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good about Nolan. I like what he's done in the spring. I like his quirks and how weird his off-season was with the standing up. That just strikes ball player to me. You got to be a bit weird, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, he said that he was sitting down for meals. I'm like, you can stand up while you're eating as well. Like, I don't know why he just didn't commit the entire day to standing up.
Yeah, pathetic. Maybe I take it back then. If he can't commit to that, he's not committed to his craft enough, is it?
Yeah, giving himself breaks from standing up. Like, come on, what kind of weak mentality is that? There's no way.
Yeah, fine. Take it back. You're out, Nolan. Gets to know at first base. All right. Most amount of Ks from a pitcher.
I think that Chase Silseth will probably get the most strikeouts. This is probably recency bias from what we saw against the Dodgers, but yeah, I think that his stuff just plays really well. I think he will get the most swing and misses as well.
I assume you're going to stick with him.
It's hard for me to disagree with that. Chase is the guy, but Reed Detmers, he's got the stuff to get up there. If he does that properly, then that could be an interesting little challenge between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Reed Detmers there. I think over the course of the season, he'll probably pitch more than Silseth does. I imagine Silseth won't be able to do the same sort of innings that Detmers can. Obviously, he hasn't done really a full season yet as a starter in the majors, so I assume he's going to be on some sort of pitch count as the year goes on. If he stays in the rotation, I mean, this all really depends on how successful he is. I'm sure as fifth starter, there's going to be a chance he doesn't remain there, but fingers crossed, I'm not right on that one. Okay, best reliever.
For me, Matt Moore.
Yeah, Matt Moore. What did Dave go?
Soriano.
Yeah.
All right, that's a weird one, but I respect your opinion. Don't necessarily think it's going to be right. I don't. You're right. I don't. I never have. I like Matt Moore's shout. I mean, we saw what he could do last year before he got traded, and he's a good pitcher. Or released. Yeah,
hopefully, you'd want Stevenson to be your best reliever as the big money guy, but it depends what comes back. If his health, if he's when he comes back healthy, if it's there, if he can prove what he's done over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, that's my quick fire. Unless anyone's got any more categories they want to throw in there.
Yeah, I've got one.
Here we go.
Which player will be the most surprising to you in either a good or a bad way?
Dave?
For me, Patrick Sandoval, because I have such low expectation with him at the moment. I'm hoping that we can get him from a few years ago, gets it right mentally. The coaching staff's going to help him out. Maybe the 5-man rotation is going to help him out. So yeah, I'm not high on Sandy at the moment. So I'm hoping that's going to be a nice, pleasant improvement. And yeah, that's my take.
Okay. I'm going to go with... It's a tough one. I don't think it's necessarily a surprise to me, but might be a surprise to other people. I'm going to go with Taylor Ward. I'm going to go with Taylor on his bounce back and showing just how good he can be that we've seen over parts of multiple years, but never in full. But I guess the surprise this year is going to be a full season of healthy Taylor Ward actually being an above average outfielder and lots of home runs, lots of runs batted in, and just a good piece in the middle of this Halos lineup. So yeah, let's go with a bounce back year for Wardy Boy, friend of the show.
Yeah, that's a good shout. And I think mine is going to be that Shanuel has some power and he hits kind of 15 plus home runs. That's going to be my big surprise for the year, that he actually finds some power.
If he hits 15 plus home runs, he is a top 10 first baseman in the major leagues, in my view. If he's finding enough power to hit 15 home runs, but with everything else we know that's in his game, he's going to make contact. He's going to drive people in. If he's then hitting 15 balls over the fences, That is a very, very good baseball player right there.
Yeah, and that'll be a big surprise for everyone. So yeah, that's that's why he's my pick.
Fair enough. All right, we come to it. I've put it off long enough. The last bit of the show is, how is this year going to go for the Halos? We've skirted around the edges. We've talked about the team. We talked about everything else. But cards on the table right now. What happens this year for the Halos? And Toby, I'll give you a chance to think because I'm going to come to the main man first. He's going to fill out the positive spin before we can shut him down. Dave, prediction for the year.
We're going to be coming fourth. And I'm not going to be saying we're getting 90 wins this year for the first time in 3 or 4 years. Look, 80 games, that's an improvement. You've got to be happy. If we can make 500, even better. But yeah, I'm going to say around 80.
You're going 80, 82. Okay. Toby.
I am gonna stick with what I've seen the last 2 years. I think that the Angels do it a third year in a row and just get the same number of wins. Start off really well, as they've done the last 2 years, and just completely flame out. And it's gonna have everyone hyped. We're gonna be near the top of the division, kind of a couple of games back on probably the Astros for until at least May, and then come June, it's all gonna fall apart.
Yeah, unfortunately, as I wrote earlier, if Ipe or Shohei are listening, the smart money is probably on a low 70s Halos win. Take the under on whatever it is. I'm going to go with 71 wins. I think this team has the potential to get to 500 if things go well and people stay healthy. I don't think the pitching's good enough to really do much beyond that. But I'm going to go with 71 because, as we know, this franchise is cursed and everybody will be injured by the middle of April. That is a lovely positive take for the start of the season. I'm going to have to just retract that. I might even cut it because everyone knows I say spring training and the end of the spring and the start of the season, the only time you can be positive about anything. Whoever you support, you can spin it enough that things are going to go well. So actually, let's take all that back. Pretend I didn't say that. We're going to go with 86 wins and we're going to be pushing the wild card and just miss out.
Which season would disappoint you more? Would it be kind of getting enough wins to be over 500, but then miss the playoffs, or just have a bad season when you know and you have no hope kind of most of the year? Or would you rather have hope and then have that dash towards the end? What would you prefer?
Absolutely, at this stage, have hope and have it dashed. We need a winning season. We need to see good baseball. We need to see promise being realized by these young players. We can see the potential. We need to start seeing the results. And so even if we did miss the playoffs, but we had a winning season, I'd be happy, to be honest. That's a stepping stone and it might encourage ownership to dip a hand in the pocket again. You never know.
Or encourage new owners.
Well, that too, but I'm not going to get too optimistic. Let's not be silly now.
Is that a bit too optimistic at the start of the season for you?
Yeah, I think just a little bit. But yeah, so scrap everything I said first, even if that is really my thoughts. We're going 86. Dave's going 80 and you're going 73. Lovely stuff. All right, I want to end it there because I don't want this to go on too long, but we've got bonus content for you now. Dave's going to jump off. We got Alex Norris MP coming on to talk about the Baltimore Orioles series. Really excited for you to hear that one. It's a great chat. And yeah, we're going to try and do this more regularly. It's opening day today when you're listening to this. Halos Baseball is back. We've just beaten Corbin Burns. We're on a roll. We're at 1,000. We're going to win it all. And the Halos are the greatest team in the world. Toby, Dave, do you agree?
Always. Never in doubt.
Absolutely. Yes.
There we go. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Before you listen to the next part, please do go subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. This will be up on YouTube as well, so go subscribe there and watch it if you want to see our pretty average faces. There's content for you there.
And mine.
Wow. I'm including you in all of it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, both of you, for coming on, and go Halos.